Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. I'm Rob Mackenzie Lafergie. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? It's perhaps one of the best known philosophical questions of all time. While it may sound silly, on further reflection, it's a much deeper question. Can a tree make a sound even if nobody is there to perceive it? Let's explore this surprisingly interesting metaphysical conundrum. If you want more like this, check out our biggest debated topics playlist on the channel. Now get ready, it's time to ask the question, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Of course, one obvious thought may be springing to mind. The animals would hear it, therefore yes, it makes a sound. However, this is not in the spirit of the question, in which it's implied that no one, human or animal, is around to hear it. So there goes that idea. That leaves us with the metaphysical quandary of whether or not a sound can exist without it being perceived. And one important aspect of this question is what exactly is meant by sound. Sound as we know it generally refers to what we humans and other animals perceive when our ears take in vibrations from the outside world. While these vibrations can be interpreted as sounds if someone is around to perceive them, one could argue that they are not technically sounds on their own. So while a tree falling in the forest would certainly cause a vibration, could sound be produced without a hearer to convert the vibrations into sound? Some thinkers hold that sound exists only in the mind. For years, philosophers have claimed that bodily sensations such as touch, smell, taste, and yes, sound are qualities that exist only in our minds, and not inherently in the world. This group would argue that the tree does not inherently make a sound when it hits the ground, the sound is effectively created when it is perceived as a sound. As such, without an observer, there would be no sound. This, however, is highly debated in philosophy, as two significant positions have different views on the subject. Bundle theorists would likely agree that no sound would be made without an observer. They view objects as merely a bundle of properties bound together, with properties being based on the perceptions of those perceiving the object. They would simply view makes a sound when it hits the ground as one potential property, and without an observer, it would no longer be a property of the tree. On the other hand, those who subscribe to substance theory might disagree. This view sees objects as having a substance of their own, and would thus likely view makes a sound when it hits the ground as an inherent property of the tree. This means that even without the existence of a perceiver, the tree would continue to have said property and would make a sound. Things get even more confusing when we look at the original intent of the question with regards to quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics holds that not only do things not make sound when not observed, but that merely observing the event changes the outcome. Some question whether the unobserved world functions the same as the observed world. It's argued that if an event imparts no information on anything else, in other words, is truly unobserved, then it will have no effects, and therefore the situation would be identical to that in which the event didn't occur at all. By this thinking, a tree falling but not being heard would be the same as a tree not falling. This superimposed state of falling and not falling could be compared to the famous Schrodinger's cat thought experiment. This can be taken still further, as the view from quantum mechanics can be even more confusing. In the words of George Berkeley, founder of subjective idealism, to be is to be perceived. And as it happens, Berkeley originally intended this question to refer to a particular idea in quantum mechanics. This idea is that the physical world doesn't exist, and that the only things that exist are our mental images of the world. This view would posit that not only would the tree not make a sound, but the tree itself would cease to exist if it was not being observed. Yikes. But look, some people aren't interested in having a long circular discussion about a question for which we will never have a true answer. For the pragmatists out there, is there a quick and easy answer? Well, yes. If we take the definition from the Oxford Dictionary, sound is defined as vibrations that travel through the air or another medium and can be heard when they reach a person's or animal's ear. The fact that it says it can be heard means that it doesn't need to be heard by someone to count as a sound. It merely needs to be able to be heard. So if you're the type of person who isn't interested in discussing the philosophical and metaphysical aspects of this question, this definition gives us a concrete answer: yes, it makes a sound. And now we return to our question, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, this is a question that may never be truly answered. It depends greatly on one's opinion on what exactly constitutes a sound. If we're asking if the tree made compression waves in the air that could be interpreted as sound, then yes, it does. But if, in order to qualify as a sound, there must be someone to perceive said sound, then it would not make a sound. From a quantum mechanics view, it could be that the tree wouldn't even fall, since the lack of observer might change events, or it could be that the tree ceases to exist without an observer. However, if we have no time for philosophy or quantum mechanics, we can just use a simple definition of the word to make the answer easier for ourselves, and say yes, it makes a sound. Thank you for watching Life's Biggest Questions. I hope this was interesting and informative, and maybe even inspired you to look into it further on your own. If you like this video, please thumbs up and subscribe to the channel down below. While you're down there, let me know what other questions you've always wondered about, but were too embarrassed to ask. Until next time, I'm Rob Mackenzie Lafergie with Life's Biggest Questions, wishing you the best of luck on your quest for answers.